Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Myths episode. This is gonna be a very special episode because we're focusing on the one for all game mode. So we'll be covering a lot in this video. Don't forget to tell me in the comments below how many of the myths you guessed correctly. But let's start things off with the first myth. How do 5 Azir ultimates on one enemy interact? So this is without a doubt one of the more popular questions that I kept receiving, and the results are definitely pleasing to see. So we'll have Azirs on each side of Alistar, ulting him one by one, and you can see he goes up extremely far into the air, constantly being hit back and forth between each of the Azir ultimates. Definitely one of the cooler interactions. Moving on to the next myth, can you use Syndra and drag blue, red buff, or even Scuttle into the fountain, and will the laser kill it? So in order to test this one out, we had a line of Syndras ready to pick up the red buff as it was passed on to the next Syndra. And as we finally get it into the fountain, you're going to be seeing that we're trying to constantly put it deeper and deeper into the fountain, but the laser actually has no interaction whatsoever anymore with any of these buffs. So next we decided to do this as well with the blue buff just for testing purposes. And after a lot of messing around within the fountain to try and get the blue buff stuck, we finally managed to do it. By putting a lot of wards around the area, trapping it inside while also using Syndra's character model to trap it as well. And after many attempts, we finally managed to get the blue golem stuck in there. And last but not least, we decided to also do this with Scuttle Crab. However, by the time we finally got it into the fountain, we did too much damage to it and actually killed it. But the cool thing is, you can see it slowly running back from the fountain base all the way back to the river and then take its position. The following myth is asking, can 10 Tahm Kenches eat each other into one Tahm Kench? So I'm sure some of you have seen this kind of thing happen already, but I think it's always very interesting to see, especially if you've never seen something like this happen before. So in a line of Tahm Kenches, we eat each other all one by one until there's only one Tahm Kench left for just a brief second. Another really cool interaction. And as a reward to the Toms, it's time to slay the dragon.
Kill the dragon! Kill the dragon! Kill the dragon!
It's the boss, it's the boss!
Wait, all going up together!
Get him!
Stack together, we'll all die. Die as friends. Die as partners.
Alright, and moving on to the next one. Does one Zed's ultimate's damage get increased by other Zeds on the same team? So first, to see exactly how much damage a single Zed ultimate will do without adding any bonuses to it. And as I use it on the Vi, you see that the number that pops up is 44. So does that mean that if I use my ultimate on Vi the exact same way without adding any damage to it myself, but the other 4 Zeds use their shuriken on the Vi, will that add damage to the deathmark that I personally put on her? And as it finally does happen here and every Zed hits her, you can see that the damage done from the deathmark is still 44. Alright, well unfortunately that doesn't seem to interact in the way that most of us probably hoped it would. But what if 5 Zeds ult the Vi at the same time? Do the ultimates stack? And as it happens in the clip right here, you can see at the top left that the numbers do stack up, so each Zed ultimate is definitely its own and it doesn't just simply refresh the previous one or overtake it. Alright, here's probably the most popular question that I have been receiving. Can more than one Mordekaiser get the dragon as a ghost from the ultimate passive? Alright, so finally to settle this question once and for all. So Pokelawls as the Mordekaiser is going to attack dragon first, and I will be the one to kill it last. So if not everyone is able to get a dragon, at least this will help us determine how and who gets the dragon. So now that the dragon is finally at a very low amount of HP, the rest of the Mordekaisers back off, I'm able to finally finish it off, and only I am the one that gets the dragon. So there definitely are not 5 dragons, and it doesn't matter who attacked it first, it's who attacked it last. And this is how it's determined as to who gets the dragon for their ghost. The next myth is asking, can 5 Yasuos chain their ultimate off of each other's ultimate specifically? So obviously if one Yasuo knocks up the Wukong, every other Yasuo will be able to ult the Wukong instantly together. But the real question is, what if the Yasuo uses his ultimate as the other Yasuo is almost done with his own ultimate? Will the chain continue and keep the Wukong suspended in the air for a much longer time? Well, as the first Yasuo initiates his ultimate, I follow up just as the ultimate is about to be finished, and then the rest of the Yasuos do the same, and we keep the Wukong suspended in the air for a very long time. A pretty cool interaction to watch as it happens. Moving on to the next one, can 5 GPs proc each other's barrels? So first, answering the simple question, can GP proc his own barrels which then will chain to other GP's barrels on his team? And the answer clearly is yes. The one important thing to remember is that a GP must use his Q on his own barrel in order to chain it off of other GP's barrels. He cannot use Q on another allied GP barrel. And what we did next was just have a little bit of fun using these barrels.
Holy.
I can't even click on my own. I can't click on it.
Wow.
Holy shit!
That sounds freaking
great.
awesome. But let's continue on with the myths. Can 5 Kallistas use Oathsworn on the same target and also use their ultimate? So first, let's see what happens when 4 Kallistas try using their Oathsworn binding to one target. You are gonna notice that the interaction does look a little funky, as the Kallista getting binded has constant glitches in her character model, always looking a little weird. But nevertheless, it is still something that is very cool and interesting to see. But now the real question is, what happens when the 4 Kallistas that are soulbound to myself being the 1 Kallista each use their ultimate? Well, unfortunately, it seems like as long as I'm within one of the Kallistas, the other 3 cannot use their ultimate, and must wait until the targeted Kallista, so in this case myself, is out of the other Kallistas before another one can use her ultimate. But what if the 1 Kallista bound into the other 4 uses her ultimate? Who does she pull in? Well, in this case, it does seem like she pulls in the target that was first to use the binding on her, rather than the one that used the binding on her last, which is what I expected personally. And next, we decided to also do the Tom Kench style Kallista ultimates where each of them use their ultimate on the one in front of them, so having 4 Kallistas within one. And evidently this is clearly possible. But there's still several myths we have to go through, so let's move into the next one. Will 5 different Teemo shrooms deal damage separately or still refresh the duration from the previous one? So first, just to get it out of the way in case you are wondering, can Teemos bounce each other's shrooms off of one another's shrooms? And the answer, as you see in the video, is yes. And now as we prepare the field of death for Braum to walk over, if you are unaware, 2 Teemo shrooms within the same duration do not deal 2 shrooms worth of damage, but instead refreshes the duration of the previous shroom. And unfortunately that seems to still be the case here, as Braum walks through each of the shrooms placed by 5 different Teemos, the damage does not stack and instead it just simply refreshes the duration of the previous shroom. And the move speed debuff, even though the top left it looked like it's stacked, actually does not stack if you look up Braum's movement speed. The next myth is asking, does Syndra use ally Syndra's Qs to buff her own ultimate or to be able to interact it with her E ability, the stun? So first, let's test the interaction with the Q and the E abilities. As each of the Syndras use their Q in front of myself and I use my own Q as well, my E ability clearly is able to interact with each of the Syndra's Qs. And moving on to test it with her ultimate, even though the ball number on her ultimate at the bottom right does not take into account allied Syndra's Qs lying around her, it will still use them for the damage. Of course, up to a certain cap. And naturally, each of the Syndras are able to do this with their ultimates, so this is definitely a scary champion in this game mode. Let's continue on to the next one. Can 5 Rek'Sais use each other's tunnels? So after 5 Rek'Sais on the same team were able to make tunnels around the map, you're going to be seeing myself, the Rek'Sai player as well, use each of these tunnels, clearly not all of them being my own, without any issues whatsoever. So this could be extremely strong if you use this correctly in the one for all game mode. And finally, the final myth of this episode. Are 5 Echoes able to stack their passive, and also what is the interaction with their Ws? So first, testing out the W interaction. The Echo at the bottom right will be throwing out his W while the other Echoes are within it, but you can see that the shield and the stun is not procced unless the Echo that threw out the W himself is within it. And next, you'll be seeing us proc our passive with auto attacks and abilities on the Alistar, and this one clearly works without falter, which is interesting considering that the W did not work. Alright guys, that is it for this special episode of the League of Myths series featuring the one for all game mode. If you did enjoy, definitely hit that like button and share with your friends, as it does help me quite a bit. Make sure to check out the other episodes as well and subscribe if you haven't. But I thank each and every one of you for watching these videos and the continued support. Peace.